All right, the connection is looking like it's good. All right, I want to touch on a few things today. All right, what we're going to talk about is cross-pollination, and we're going to kind of get into, I want to kind of touch on gardening. I want to just touch on that because it's February 21st, the first day of spring. It's March 21st. That's a month from now, and I really want to kind of give y'all some hints and just plant some seeds so that y'all can understand what's going on out there with the trees and with your fruit and with your food, especially if you're vegan. All right, especially if you're vegan. All right. One of the things I wanted to touch on was cross-pollination. Okay, because the thing is this: a lot of people don't understand the amount of sex that needs to occur between a bee and a flower in order for you to eat an apple. Okay? All right, you got certain things like apples and pears. Okay? Apples and pears. They need a bee to pollinate them. They need sex to occur in order to create fruit. All right? They're not self-pollinators, okay? You got things that are self-pollinators like nectarines and peaches and I think sour cherries. Those are self-pollinators. And then you got things like apples, okay? Apples and pears, and they need help. They need help. They need help from the bees. And what a lot of people don't understand is when they're watching a bee, there's a lot going on, okay? Those blossoms you see on the flower, they're all designed. All right, they're designed. Like, you look at the flowers, you see these pretty flowers like a flower petal. There's like an anthem, there's like a stigma, there's all kinds of things on there. A flower has ovaries. Do you know it has ovaries? Let me explain something. All right. When a bee goes over to one flower, right, this is cross-pollination, right? This is why when you look out there and you look at certain places, you see orchards and you see all these trees all over the place, is because they can't have one tree there. There's one tree there, you wouldn't get no damn fruit. The bee needs to be able to go to another tree, get pollen from that. Let me rephrase that. It needs to get sperm. Because we look at pollen like pollen. What pollen? Pollen is sperm. Okay? So the bees need to go and get sperm. They get the sperm on them. Then they come into the flower. Say this is the flower right here. Okay? The bee comes onto the flower. Now, the flower is smart. The flower knows that the bee needs nectar, but the flower also knows that bee is bringing pollen. That pollen is going to get stuck all over the stigma, okay? That is going to go down the filament of the flower, and it is going to fertilize the ovaries or ovules inside of the flower. Now, once that happens, seeds form. Those seeds form here. The rest of this here becomes the whitey flesh of the apple. And inside where the seed is, it ends up encasing it. That all occurs from the bee coming inside, pollen, dropping the pollen off, germinating it, sperm going down the filament, fertilizing the ovules, ovules creating the seeds. Because if you think about it, there are no seeds inside of a flower. Okay? Fertilizing the ovules, creating the seeds, and now what the plant do, because the plant is doing this for a reason, okay? The seeds are inside of the apple. But guess what? You, me, and deers that love apples, we're not just going to go over to that tree and just eat seeds or eat the flowers off of it. That's not tasty to us. The plant knows that. So it wrapped the seeds around in this delicious, sweet, nice fruit that we call an apple. So that we can come, grab the apple off the tree, eat the apple, toss the seed, and make more of that apple. Alright? That's one thing. Now you heard that whole thing I explained with y'all about the bee coming to the flower, and it comes to the flower, and it comes inside, and it fertilizes the ovule and all that. Check this out. one time I went out into the woods with my boy, right? And we did shrooms. And before we did shrooms, I took about 3 days, I think. It took about 3 days. And I fasted, all right? Because when you do psychedelics, you don't do them like you're going to get a drink of alcohol. When you do psychedelics, you're supposed to do them the way shamans do them. You're supposed to wait till certain moon dates, wait till certain energy portals open. You're supposed to just wait. Like, I still got like a quarter of shrooms right now. It's been in my room for like the last year. I haven't had the time to, or a reason to implement it at the current moment. But I fasted for 3 days, and then I went out into the forest, okay? And just out into the woods. And I took the shrooms at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Took my shoes off, okay? I was on the ground at this time, all right? I tripped throughout the entire night. It was just me and my boy. We just out there, just me and him on our shrooms. That was a very, very eye-opening experience for me. There's a lot of stuff that happened in the middle of there, but I'll save that for like another time when I'm like basically talking about psychedelics themselves. But I'm going to skip through all of the crazy magical stuff that happened. All right. I won't skip through all of it, okay? All right, because like there was like this one part, right, where I had like bare feet, right, and I was on the ground, right, and we had brought flashlights because we knew it was we thought it was gonna get dark, but if you actually stay outside in the forest away from any unnatural light and let your eyes naturally adjust through the waning hour and all that, you'll notice that it doesn't really get dark. But not only that shit, there's a totally different shift. Like, there's a totally different shift. Like, if you can just sit in the forest while everything is going dark, and watch the whole shift, you can literally, it's just like humans. You know, like when you look out your window during the daytime, you see like certain people doing their stuff during the day, and then at the nighttime, you go out there and you look out your window at night and you see those night people. Man, a total shift change. Like, the things that were making one certain sound, they stopped making sound. And the other things that wanted to make sound, they started making sound. And I was connected to another source. Because when I went to turn on the flashlight, as soon as I went to turn on the flashlight, I went just like this. I went to turn on the flashlight. As soon as I went to turn on the flashlight, boom, they just told me to turn that flashlight the hell off. Ain't nobody say nothing. But I just knew that I had disrespected I had disrespected nature by turning on that bright ass LED light at that time, especially when everything was in its form. Like, there were certain bugs that are under the ground, they're in the dirt. They don't even come up until a certain time because those predators during the day aren't there, so now they can come out and then they can do their thing, and then here my human ass come, bugging out on shrooms, and I want to start turning on lights and shit. Man, turn that shit the hell off. So I got that hint. I turned it off. All right. Another thing was, I heard a sound. It was like 50 yards away, and I was talking to my boy about it, and he's like, "Yo, you heard a sound?" I was like, "Yeah, I heard a sound." He stopped for a second. I stopped for a second. I said, "Yo, that's a mother and her baby deer over there." He's like, "How the fuck do you know that?" I was like, "I can just tell. It's a mother and a baby deer over there." He's like, "Man, let's run over there and go see." Man, we went to fucking run over there. It was a goddamn mother and a goddamn baby deer over there. Now, I'm pretty sure I would have had no fucking clue what the hell was over there if I wasn't tuned in with the shrooms, if my feet wasn't grounded into the ground, and I wasn't tuned in. But, like, I was connected. So, it's not really that magical when you're connected, because anybody that grow up in a forest or grow up in the jungle or grow up somewhere, you start to understand and feel the environment. Man, there was a bat. A bat. Remember when I told you when the lights and everything changed and stuff like that? When it changed over? Listen to the words I'm saying. I was in the middle of the forest. It's dark, or supposed to be dark. And a bat went to go fly across. I looked up and like, boom. He's like, whoa, my boy. He's like, yo, what'd you just look at? I was like, yo, a bat. A bat just went across. And it grabbed an insect and it just went across. That's what it did. But how did I notice that? I didn't see the bat out of my periphery. I couldn't see it. I kind of just felt it was there, and I looked, and there was an object, and I was just like, that was a bat. And it was a bat. It's just being in the forest and being on the shrooms and being connected to nature, you start to become encased in just something otherworldly and something magical. But the point of this story, why I started, ties into why I explained the apple to you originally. Because, remember I told you I took the shrooms around 12 o'clock. At about around 2 o'clock in the morning is when we decided to just get ready to head back home and break the fast. And we broke the fast with an apple. This was the experience here with the apple. I wasn't paying him no attention because it was a waterfall and the waterfall was falling. And I was looking at the water and I was noticing that the waterfall was falling, but it just looked like it was the same pattern. So I was just really entranced in that, and I was looking at that. And then out of nowhere, my boy just goes, yo! And I'm just like, what, bro? What? And he's like staring at his apple. He's like sitting there, he's like looking at his apple like he just took a bite out of God. And he's just looking at it like that. And he's just like, yo, bite your apple, bite your apple. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, yo, just bite your apple, bite your apple. I'm like, all right, man, all right. So I go in my bag, I grab my apple out, right? Now I'm grabbing my apple out, and after all that excitement he just showed, I'm looking at him like, trying to figure out like, man, what the hell am I about to get myself into by biting this apple, you know what I'm saying? And so I bite this apple, and as soon as I bite into the apple, yo, I was like, my boy, yo. As soon as I bought into the apple, it was like that scene from Neo, yo. As soon as I bought into the apple, it was like, and what had happened was, I got the entire fucking download of the apple's life. You know, it's like as soon as I bit into the apple, like I bit into the apple, and it was like I went into the apple, then the apple went back in time, and then the apple got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then there was like a bee in the inside, and then the bee came out, and the bee was coming around, the bee was spiraling outside, spiraling out, and then it came all the way out, and then boom, it's like bam, it was like the apple was back, and it was just like, holy fucking shit, I just got the entire fucking life of this apple, and I just bit the fucking apple one time. That was amazing. That was amazing. Okay? And that basically was just one of the things that helped me understand how much closer we could be with nature if we kind of just removed a lot of inhibitions. Because another thing is, I fasted for 3 days. So there wasn't that much. There wasn't any other food information inside of me that could coincide or mess with whatever information the apple was giving me. So that experience I had with the apple was just very, very true, and it was very, very pure, because at that time, after fasting for 3 days with no food, no nothing, and the heightened senses that I was given by the psilocybin and the mushrooms is what gave me what was necessary to have that experience with that apple. Okay, but that's just one thing I wanted to tell you about. Another thing is, we really need to we really need to grow food. We need to get into gardening and growing food so that we can understand the way these things work and understand the information we're putting into our body and how things work on a smaller scale so that we can understand what we're working with. I went out and I got me a blueberry bush. I planted that in my backyard, set it there, I watered it, nothing happened. Guess what? Blueberries are not self-pollinators. So if you go and get you a blueberry bush, you can have blueberries in your backyard. But that blueberry needs another blueberry bush to fuck. Yeah, if that blueberry bush can't fuck another blueberry bush, you don't get blueberries. So I had to go out, I had to get another blueberry bush, and I had to put that within 12 feet of the Yeah, about 12 feet within the range of the other one, so that a bee can come across and do that thing I just told you. Go over here, grab some pollen from this one, come over here to the stamen of this one, filament to this one, and then because if you ever eat blueberries, you'll notice that they have a whole bunch of tiny little seeds in them. You know what I mean? So those are all little blueberries, like a whole bunch of blue apples. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the thing has got to cross-pollinate, and they have to have sex in order for me or you to have blueberries. I found that out by growing blueberries in my backyard. Another thing is peppers. You know, we love peppers. You know, peppers and onions, peppers and onions, peppers and onions. But specifically, we love green peppers because they have a certain flavor and aroma that they give off that we seem to really, really be into. The idea is, and I'm going to try and make this make sense for you. You got to understand, tomatoes are a nightshade. All right? Peppers are a nightshade, okay? Listen to what I'm saying, okay? When you go into the store to get a green pepper, you're getting an unripe orange pepper, an unripe red pepper, or unripe yellow pepper, okay? There is no such thing as a green pepper. Green peppers do not exist, okay? Green peppers are like green tomatoes. Green tomatoes don't exist. Green tomatoes are tomatoes that didn't quite fucking make it. You shouldn't eat them. Ain't no fried green tomato. Ain't no green tomato this. Nobody wants a green tomato. Green tomatoes are sour. They're bitter. They're disgusting. You don't eat them. Okay? Those are poisonous. They're nightshades. You can research that on Google if it makes you happy. But the idea is this. Use your brain. You look out there with the manufacturers and you go to the store and you see your green pepper for like 99 cents or $1 and change. And then you look and you see red peppers, $3.99 a pound. You gotta ask some questions. Like, why is that green pepper $1? Why does that cost 3 to 4 times as much? Well, if you grew them, you'd know. When I start to grow my peppers in about May-ish, is when I kind of plant them. Yeah, around May. By June, I got a pepper that's about the size of a kiwi. It's green. By the end of June, I have a pepper that's big and it's green. Still not edible. That pepper does not turn red or orange until the end of August. I can't eat my peppers until the end of August. So, when you're looking at a green pepper, you're looking at the manufacturer's cheap version of a red pepper that they just wanted to sell off to you real quick. It's not right. Okay? When you look at a red anything, what does it have? It has beta carotene in it. Okay? So what the hell does a green pepper have in it if it hasn't took the time to take the sun's energy and the vital nutrients from the soil to assimilate it into the flesh and into the composition of the fruit to actually create that red color? What does that mean? That means your beta carotene is missing. It's not in there. What are you eating that for? You get what I'm saying? You understand? Green peppers don't exist. Yeah, they smell good and they have this other flavor and all this other crap, but switch to red. Switch to red. Because they don't exist, and don't let anybody tell you, oh no, they're fine. No, they're not. They're not, and they shouldn't be eaten. Okay? And there's no such thing as a green jalapeno. We advertise it as jalapeno. Every time people see jalapeno, they put a green piece of jalapeno, like jalapenos. You go to the Mexican, jalapenos. Talk to somebody who actually grows jalapenos. I gave one of my homegirls a jalapeno plant because I had like 3 or 4 of them. I just gave her one. She didn't go out there and pick it off. She just kept it on and left it on and left it on and left it on and left it on. Next thing you know, she goes, it's turning red. I go, yeah. It's a jalapeno. That's what they do. That's what color they are. That's if they feel like waiting that long before they actually give them to you. And then you got tomatoes. Tomatoes. Problem with tomatoes is if you're gonna eat a tomato, you need to eat an heirloom tomato. Heirloom tomatoes are the only tomatoes that, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not growing your own tomatoes, you're getting something that's engineered. And I'm saying that only because I grow 5 different tomatoes every single year. When I take my tomato off my plant, I need to eat that tomato that day, the next day, because the day after that, it's just going to be mushy. And that doesn't happen with supermarket bought stuff. They treat it with something or coat it with something, and the tomato doesn't ripen at the right stage. It's treated with all this kind of different stuff. You know, it's all messed up. And for a lot of people who don't understand genetically engineered tomatoes or what's the difference or why, years and years ago, probably you could talk to your parents or grandparents about it, but you could find a potato, and the potato would be bruised. It would have brown spots all over it. The manufacturers would lose money on that. Distributors would lose money on that because by the time it got there, either if you look at it and the brown potatoes, they're beaten, they're bruised, you don't want those potatoes. You get what I'm saying? You don't want those potatoes. So what they actually did was they crossed the potato with a moth gene. Now, people go, why would they cross it with an insect gene? They crossed it with an insect gene because it made the potato so that it didn't brown and it didn't get that discoloration or bruising as it went across country. So by the time it got to where it had to be, nobody lost any money and nobody lost any profit. Okay, so that's one of the things that they did right there with potatoes. You know, for anybody that's in the dark, doesn't know anything about genetically engineered stuff. What they did with the tomato was, problem with the tomato is the tomato usually comes from, if you look at them, they come from Canada, they come from across the country. But the thing is this, you have to look at the traveling route of your food. If you look at it, you'll see that sometimes your food is going to come from a warm climate, and it's going to have to go through a freezing-ass cold climate, and then come through that, and then come back into a warm climate. What does that do? If you take a tomato, and then you freeze the tomato, and then you unfreeze the tomato, what do you now have? You now have a mushy tomato. So, manufacturers tried to figure out a way to make it so that we can stop this mushy tomato thing. So that, you know, anybody that works at Applebee's or anywhere that has to, you know, gut the tomatoes and have to do that, you understand what happens when you get an entire batch of bad fucking tomatoes. It's just not good. You can't use any of them. So what they did was, they crossed the tomato with a tobacco gene. Why? It made the tomato frost resistant. That means it can now go from here, go from all the way from California, it can come through the frozen Midwest, and then still come over here and meet you, or go vice versa, without the tomato being frozen and being unfrozen and then being mushy. And so that's why they did that whole thing right there. Another thing is apples. Eat apples in like late September, October, November, maybe around December-ish. There's not really any apples left. There's no apples. Apples come off the tree around September, October. After that, that's it. There's really no apples left. I mean, you can still get some in November, but after that, there's no apples left. You know what I mean? And we have an entire apple section in our supermarket. And if people even knew or even could see or went out and harvested apples at the right time, like I literally had to wait all the way to October. But not like the beginning, like the middle of October, around there towards the end, to pluck the apples off the tree at that point. Like I had to wait to that point, and then only then I have like a month. You know what I'm saying? So when you guys are looking out here at all these apples all over the place, yeah, apple is probably like, and some people have cut open an apple, and the apple's been brown on the inside and stuff. The apple's been treated with ethylene gas. That apple that you're eating at your supermarket, or that apple that you're feeding to your kid, is probably about a year old. You know, and the gas is called ethylene. What they do is they stop the respiration of the apple because your fruits and vegetables, they actually breathe. That's just what they do. You know, that's why if you cut it open, it oxidizes faster because it's breathing. You know, it's alive. It's a living thing. So what they did to this living thing was they removed the oxygen, raised the carbon dioxide up to do what? to slow down the respiration rate. It's the same thing that would happen to you if, actually, the same thing that would happen with me right now if somebody increased the carbon dioxide in this room right here. I'd have left oxygen to breathe, and so the process going on inside of me would happen at a slower rate. And that's what they do to your apples. And I mean, some would look and go, yeah, but the apples are still the same. They're still juicy. They're still this. They're still that. But the apples don't maintain the same light quotient. They don't maintain the same energy. They don't maintain the same vitamin C content. They don't maintain the same nutrient content. They don't maintain the same density level. And that is the problem. Okay? And when they do a lot of research and they tell y'all a lot of things about, oh, this has vitamin C, and this has this in it, this has that in it. It's like, you know what? That's nice. But a tomato does not have the same amount of vitamin C in it when you pluck it as it does 3 days later after it's been plucked, went through an entire process, and then got shipped across the country. It's a totally different process. Okay? But again, you have to grow food. You have to get into the art of growing food so that you can understand your food more. So that you can understand it more on a molecular level, so you can go into a supermarket and understand what it is you're looking at, so that you can understand the difference between fresh and just some waxed apples that are over a year old that have been sitting in a warehouse. Because that's what they do. Those apples that are waxed, they just sit over there and they sit in a warehouse. You know, and that's not what we're supposed to be eating. And a lot of the fruit we're eating the fruit and we're not getting the benefits of the fruit because the fruit is dead and it's void of a lot of the crap that's supposed to be in there. Okay? And like I posted and I told you guys a million times, like, it's really, really hard for me to go into a store and pay an extra $2 or $5 or $6 for a pint of raspberries. But after I do the research and see that they did an oxygen radiation absorption capacity test called an ORAC test to see how much antioxidants are in conventional raspberries versus organic raspberries, and double the amount of antioxidants are in organic raspberries, I can't buy conventional. I can't buy conventional because I'm missing out on antioxidants. The purpose of me buying these raspberries is for them to have a healing effect inside my body. I don't want to shortchange myself, so I'm going to buy the organic raspberries. The organic raspberries, they do taste exactly like the raspberries that I get off these bushes around here in my neighborhood. They do taste exactly like that. And I do like that about those raspberries. They taste absolutely delicious. But you guys really need to grow food. You need to really, really get in touch with a lot of food so that you can understand it. A thing like red leaf lettuce. I grow red leaf lettuce every year. Red leaf lettuce is... It's not even red leaf lettuce to me. Red leaf lettuce is like... It's like a dandelion. It is. It's like a dandelion. And if you've ever grown red leaf lettuce and experienced red leaf lettuce while it's alive... Because see, while the red leaf lettuce is growing in the dirt, I just come and I cut it off here. And I eat these leaves. Those leaves taste sweet. And they taste like any kind of other red leaf lettuce would taste. They taste good. They belong in your salad. After I cut that red leaf lettuce, that plant makes an adjustment. It goes, something came, it cut me, and it ate me. It ate me. It ate me. Next time I come to go and cut that plant, if you've ever cut open a dandelion, you see like this white, this stuff that comes out of it is disgusting. You see like this white, disgusting stuff come out. The next time I come to cut my red leaf lettuce, guess what? That white, disgusting, bitter stuff came out. Why? The red leaf lettuce said, something is eating me and I don't like it. I'm going to create this chemical, pesticide or whatever, to get rid of it so that it does not eat me. Now, was it necessarily for me? Not really. It was for whatever was nibbling on it, whether it be a rabbit or an insect. It now wants you to go, no, that's bitter. I don't want no more of that. That's what my red leaf lettuce did. But since I grew red leaf lettuce and I grew kale, I can tell you that the kale doesn't do that. Tuscan or dinosaur kale that is a very, 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 very good kale to grow. It's hardy, and it will grow through June, July, August, September. Actually, it will keep growing until the first frost. And the first frost, for those of you who don't know, is the first time when you see that ice. You see that slip of ice outside? Yeah, once you see that slip of ice outside, usually that kills everything. So, yeah, but kale, Tuscan kale, is very, very tough. It's has a high in vitamin K, packed with chlorophyll. It's deep, 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 deep dark. And I think it's just a little bit more resilient, and it's tougher than the average curly kale. From everything it was that I've grown, I've noticed that the only thing I have to worry about with my cucumbers and tomatoes is squirrels. Squirrels raped me this year, man. Squirrels they just demolished my tomatoes, man. Like, I literally just left the grape tomato patch to them, and I just took my other tomatoes that was up on the table, and I just used those. The cucumbers, to compensate for the rodents, I just planted more cucumber plants, because they can't eat them all. Cucumbers just start growing up, and I'm like, yeah, Mr. Squirrel, you eat that one, I'm going to have this one, you know? So you can't defeat them on all. But, when it comes to your kale, the aphids. When your kale first comes out, you're going to pick it, it's going to be perfectly fine. By the next time you come around, aphids are going to be on it. And aphids aren't going to be on the top where it's nice and shiny. Aphids are going to be on the underneath part, and they're just going to be covering it. In order to stop the aphids, you just need to dust your kale with diatomaceous earth, or you need to use neem oil. Okay, you could just use neem oil and spray underneath the bottom on there so they can't crawl up on there. And the aphids, they will leave you alone, because neem is just absolutely disgusting. It's just doesn't taste good. But if you just dilute it and put a little bit on there and on the bottom and stuff like that, it'll keep your aphids off of there. All right. Me personally, I do what I can. If the aphids are on there, the aphids become amino acids. All right. I ain't got time for all that. You know what I'm saying? But the most important part that I want y'all to get out of this is you need to get in touch with nature. You need to go find you a seed, and you need to grow it. You need to grow that seed. Okay? About, what is it? Next month? Yeah, probably next month I'm gonna start. And what I usually do is I take containers, little containers. I fill them up with dirt, and I just take my seeds, put them in there, put them in there, put them in there. And I line them along my windowsill. And whatever window gets the most amount of sun, I line them in my windowsill. And I wait till the little sproutling gets all the way up to like a certain height where it can be transplanted. And then after that, I have to go out and I gotta buy probably about like $100 worth of dirt. Okay, like $100 worth of dirt, and you got $100 worth of dirt. And you need like $40 worth of fertilizer, $100 worth of dirt, $40 worth of fertilizer, and you're going to need stakes, and you're also going to need, you might need lime. You might need lime, because all these different things that I grow, they need different things in the soil. Like tomatoes, like calcium. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, cucumbers, they like lime in the soil. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, they're high in silica. You know what I mean? It's just every single thing you grow, it needs something else different inside the soil. And if it doesn't get it, you're not going to get what you want to get out of that fruit. It's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to get the necessary yield. When it comes time, and I'm going to be making videos, I'm going to be going through all this stuff. When it comes time for your tomatoes to grow and they start to fruit, this is no wishy-washy shit. You can't just grow tomatoes, wait for them to go be pretty, and then just be, oh, my tomatoes are pretty, I'm going to have a few, and then go do something. You can't do anything. I can't do anything. Like, once I start my garden, I'm bound to that garden. I'm bound to that garden because I have to invest in it. I invest in the seeds, and I invest in the time. Then I got to go hook up the hose. After I hook up the hose, I got to spray everything and soak everything down. In the summertime where it's super, super hot and the soil's dry, sometimes you got to water 2 times. If you plan on traveling, you got to go away. You got to get a roommate or a friend, somebody you can trust to come by and water your stuff for you. So if you're going to go into the gardening, go into it with a pal. Or go into it with a full plan in mind. Go into it knowing that you're going to be there and ready to actually take care of it and get it done. Because tomatoes, for instance, if my tomatoes are growing and I let one day, I let the soil just get really, 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 really dry, the tomatoes are going to get stressed. Okay? Fruit gets stressed. Your food gets stressed. As soon as my tomatoes don't sense any water in the soil, they restrict. They can't send what it is they need to send to my fruit. Then my tomato cracks. That's when you'll go and you'll see the cracks and the splits on the tomato. That's because the tomato was going through stress at that time. How do I alleviate that stress? I need to maintain the equilibrium of that soil. If I don't maintain the equilibrium of that soil, the tomatoes, things is going to pop. They're not going to grow. I'm not going to get the yield that I want. Last year, I had a great plant. It was a purple Cherokee heirloom. And the problem with that plant was I made the mistake of putting too much peat moss in my soil. And what I did was I made the soil retain too much moisture. So I caused root rot, and that stunted the growth of the plant, of the root, and caused my heirloom plant to split down the middle, and then it just snapped in half like that. That just cut off the nutrients to all the plants. I lost that entire plant. Not because anything was wrong with the plant. The plant was perfectly fine. The plant was perfectly healthy. But the soil that it was in, if you look at the soil, it's like, oh, it's beautiful. I don't know how it's not growing. All the other soil, I would water those. After a day or two, it goes down. That soil is dry. 3-4 days, I come back. I feel this soil. The soil is just moist. It was just moist. Let me explain another thing to people that you're not going to understand or know unless you grow things, unless somebody tells you. Plants need to look for water. Okay? They need to look for water. When the roots are in the ground, if you water the plant, right? You water the plant, the roots are in the ground, all right? You water the plant, the water is right here. The roots are sucking up, the water's right here. When the water goes away, the plant goes, yo, man, yo, the roots is like, yo, where's my water? And then they start going towards the water. They start looking, they go down, they go down, they go deeper, they go deeper, they go deeper, they go deeper. And that is the idea of why people tell you, like, not to overwater things. They tell you not to overwater things because you need root strength. And you're not going to get root strength if you keep fucking babying them. If you keep, oh, here's some water. I'm going to stay right here. If I don't need to go down, I'm going to stay right here. If there's always water down here, what the hell I need to go down here for? The water's always right here. And that is what you need to do. You need to understand the plant. You need to understand the top. You need to understand what goes on the bottom. On another note, my blueberry plant, if you want to get a better yield out of your blueberry plant, you leave it alone for 2 years. As soon as it flowers, you don't let it fruit. You don't let it fruit. As soon as it flowers, you pluck those flowers off. What is the blueberry plant going to do if it doesn't have to send the flowers and make the blueberries? What the blueberry plant does is it sends its roots deeper into the ground. Then after the next year, it sends roots deeper into the ground. Next year after that, now you let the flowers flower, you let that cross-pollinate, and now you are going to get some plump, nice, plentiful, and a lot of blueberries. You're going to get this because you actually let the roots establish themselves. And that right there is really, really important. You have to let the roots establish themselves. And that's like almost with anything. And if anything, you can even apply that to children. Like what I just told you regarding roots, And water, that is what, you know, you do to your children. You know, if you constantly water, what are you doing? Spoiling the plant. Spoiling them. Ain't got no roots. Nothing to stand on. I'm dependent. Spoiling. No roots. Spoiling. Cut that off. What's that plant going to do? It's going to grow some roots. It's going to dig. It's going to go out looking for a job. You know what I'm saying? It's going to go look for something because you cut it off. It's going to go and get stronger. It's going to create growth because you just made that environment a little bit unstable and made it become stronger naturally. Understand? That's the way plants work, and that's how we have to think when it comes to like gardening and food and so on and so forth. That's the way we have to think. When I do my garden, I don't do any minimal stuff. I don't do anything that has like a low yield. I try and do just high yield stuff that I'm going to be eating, and most of the stuff I like it to be in the fruit class. I do grow strawberries. I'm very angry because I had no knowledge of any of this stuff when I went into it. I just went into it blind. I'm like, I want gardening. Man, I'm vegan. I want to grow my own stuff. Man, I want some strawberries right now. You know, and so I went out, I just brought strawberry things, and I put them in there. Then I grew strawberries one year, and I grew them all, and after that, the year was done, I took all that stuff, and I threw it all away. Why? Because my dumb ass didn't know strawberries come back next year. Yep. But, I know now, and I knew last year, so when I grew my strawberries from last year, see, strawberries have runners that come off. And strawberries just keep growing, and they'll send out a runner. And strawberries keep growing, and they'll send out another runner. All you got to do for a new strawberry plant is take the runner off, clip, put that in dirt. You got a strawberry plant. Take the other runner off, clip, put that in dirt. You got another strawberry plant. So I found that out last year, and so this year, I'm going to be growing me some strawberries, and I'm going to be growing me a lot more strawberries than last year, because if y'all ever grew some strawberries, y'all be like, God damn, man, they must be really growing some strawberries out there in California, man, because strawberries be popping up, and as soon as they pop up, and as soon as they red, a bird wants your strawberry. Like, strawberries is not easy, man. Strawberries is not easy. And every time I grow a strawberry, it looks like weird and funny looking, so I don't even know how they be getting those strawberries over there in the supermarket. Like, that's just crazy as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's really, really important to try and pay attention to your food and really, really get in touch with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, that's all I wanted to tell y'all. I mean, that was it. I hope I didn't take too long. And yeah, yo, fellas, man, grow you a strawberry. You know what I'm saying? Grow you a strawberry, because I'm telling you right now, you take a lady out to your backyard and give her a strawberry that you grew. I don't give a fuck what the next dude do. You know, I don't care what he does. You get what I'm saying? I don't care. You can call the edible people. You can get you some chocolate-covered strawberries. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You ain't never gonna meet a dude that grew you an actual goddamn strawberry. Alright? So you can take your ass wherever you want, shorty. Go ahead. Have him top that shit. Let me see if that motherfucker can grow a strawberry. Have him grow a motherfucking strawberry. Let me see that shit happen. Later.